no. I started the show with a mess up. I started doing workshops and doing groups where I'm getting up in front of others, like outside of the gym setting, and talking about resilience and perseverance and goal setting and vision and taking action.
You should know what 1 hour of your time is worth. You should know the value that you bring to the marketplace. You know what your passion is.
Starts with clarity of vision. If you don't have the clarity of vision, whatever next thing you get, you're not going to see it through because you don't have the clarity of vision. So the point of my pain was being told you will never run or jump again. And all that stuff, I was like, you know what? Like, I want to be able to take this even bigger.
If you know why you do what you do, you have to know how to charge for what you do. That's how you're going to change your life, and that's how you're going to leave a legacy for your children and your family. You got to know your worth.
Happy Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. I am back with my second show of the day. This is episode number 360. And if you're new to the show, we're all about overcoming obstacles, defying the odds, and inspiring you to clear whatever is blocking the path to whatever success you want in your lifetime. So coincidentally, both shows have the same topic, from hitting rock bottom and then fighting your way back into something great. So before I bring my guest on, I want to talk about pain for a second. Because in navigating pain, because at some point, we're all going to do it. You're going to lose someone. You're going to lose a job. Someone close to you is going to move to another state. You know, there's all kinds of pain out there. And as humans, we get stuck on the what happened, right? What happened, honestly, doesn't matter. How you bounced back from it is what matters. Like being told I would never run or jump again. That's nothing spectacular. I'm sure people are told that every day, you know, across the world. But how you respond to that pain, that's where the true power lies. And again, with today's guest, we have Kerry, right? And for years, she's lived in the depths of her wounds, carrying the weight of unspoken pain. In just 5 years, she faced the brink of her own existence, attempted suicide, good thing she sucked at it, and emerged reborn, stepping into her power as a shaman and experiencing the profound light of enlightenment. We're going to discuss her journey, raw, unfiltered, and deeply transformational. Kerry, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me and pointing out that I suck at suicide. That's a great skill to have. I love it.
You know, when you talk about a topic like this, you got to be able to throw in, you know, some laughter, you know, some laughter. So yes, you absolutely sucked at it, and the world is better off for it. So that's awesome. All right. So first, where are you joining me from?
Ventura, California, about a half an hour south of Santa Barbara.
All right. Awesome. Born and raised?
I was born in Arizona. I moved to Southern California when I was 5, and then
Gotcha. So what made the family move there?
Well, when I was 9 months old, my dad got a job in Europe. He's an engineer. And so he moved to France and Switzerland until I was about 5. And then he got a job in Southern California. We moved there. And so we were following my dad's career at the time. And then that was 1970. So 1976, right before I turned 6, my parents got a divorce. And we stayed in the same town and, you know, lived there. But it was a very affluent town. Like it's 15 minutes from the Bachelor Mansion.
Okay, so before we dive into that, describe yourself for me.
I'm a vulnerable feminine woman.
Okay, I like that. Expand on that for me.
Well, I had to learn who I am. I mean, there's a statue. I saw a picture of the statue a few weeks ago, and I just that was me. Like, I know why my soul showed that to me. It's called grief, and it's a man's head and his arms and his legs, but the whole center of the body is empty. You can see through it, and you can see the skyline behind it. I was like, that was me from my childhood, because my parents were like that. So they modeled that existence for me. And so they rejected themselves. So they rejected me, and then I rejected myself. And so set me up for a lot of failed relationships and emotional pain and not understanding how reality works and feeling super isolated because I didn't know how to connect because I was so busy rejecting myself that I was not busy connecting to myself.
We're gonna circle back on that. Let me just write that down real quick.
Sure. Yeah.
Rejecting yourself to connecting yourself, because I think as we get into the heart of this, that's gonna resurface again.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I like to start with the backstory, because usually there's stuff in that backstory that totally correlates to what people are doing now. Like I've done enough of these, and the beauty is I've spoken to people all over the world. So it doesn't matter, South Africa, Thailand, Argentina, all over the world, and the steps to recovery are all the same.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't realize. Like, oh, well, I'm dealing with this. Well, I'm dealing with this. Well, I'm dealing with that. It doesn't matter. You got to wake up every day and you have to work on yourself and do the things that are necessary for you to have success, right? So it doesn't matter what the source of the pain is, right? Yeah. So let's circle back to you. So did that initial interactions, or I should say events, that happened early in your childhood, did those cloud your thoughts of the future?
Well, yeah. So what I just realized in the fall is how profound this one, well, he was a young man then, but now he's a grown man, his impact in my life. And I had fears in me from that relationship, like fear that he was going to break into my house to be with me. Like we are attracted to each other based on our wounds. And so, and I was very, very abused in my family. So I can imagine, he was as well. And that made me very masculine, but then it put him in his feminine, and that would not have been a healthy scenario. But I buried all that in my subconscious, which is where we bury our wounds in the parts of ourselves that we haven't accessed. That's why it's called shadow work. We want to make the darkness conscious and turn that wound, invert the wound, which I used to have a wound that I feared all men, into wisdom, which is men protect me. And the more wisdom I download into my soul, the more prepared I am to experience enlightenment. Like that's how we learn to surf the waves of life, right? To be on the high and the low, and then you're going to fall down, you're going to get back up, and you don't start on the 70-foot wave, which would be enlightenment. You start on the 1 wave, right? And then you slowly build.
Yes.
And that's what I didn't learn as a child, is how to surf the waves of life. Just stay on the top, Kerry. Okay, I don't know how to do that. don't go down there. Okay.
Well, yeah, because like I always say, because every human being, we have the fight or flight in us. Every single person has it.
Yeah.
And society conditions us for flight. It doesn't condition us to fight, right? It wants us to run away. It wants us to be mentally unstable and on medicine and needing therapy and all this other stuff. Like they're making money off of people's well-being when the power's inside of you already. It's already there. You can choose to fight, right? It's like you don't have to choose that flight. But you mentioned rejecting yourself.
Yeah.
Right? And I think a lot of people, even grown people, like I'm 50, so like even people in my age bracket, they reject themselves, or they reject the idea that they can do amazing things. Right.
Yes.
So when you were rejecting yourself, was there anything in particular that it held you back from?
Held me back from healthy relationships. So, and how I figured that out was, 6 years ago, I attempted suicide in 2019. Then the end of 2020, I attracted in the first man in my book. And there's 6 men in my book.
Wait, hold on. Because we just can't gloss over that.
Okay.
Right? We can't just gloss over that.
Let me kind of a little bit more. Okay. So I had
all right, go ahead.
I had a traumatic childhood. And my soul's plan was to take on so much emotional pain that it would make it necessary for me to experience enlightenment. Gotcha. To process that pain and then teach everyone else about enlightenment, which makes sense that I'm on this enlightenment thing because I have a master's degree in East Asian religious studies, Okay. So this is like my soul has a plan for me. Like I needed all these experiences and all this knowledge and all these trials and tribulations and failed relationships and medication and 4 to 7 migraines a week. I need all that crap to be on me and go, I need to get the fuck out of here, And so now I'm ready to like do it and climb. I dug the hole, so I got to dig myself out of the hole. And so an enlightenment's an emotion, which I know that Buddhism doesn't teach that, because I have a master's degree in it, and I'm well aware that it doesn't teach that. But enlightenment is an emotion where we receive profound wisdom and then release catastrophic fears, which is how we surf the waves of life. So I'll bring up this, and I use a lot of like the laws of physics to explain this process of how we learn to surf the waves of life as a way of learning how to process emotional pain. Why are the hills and valleys in life necessary? Like, why does that happen? So you have two identical balls on this physics experiment, and two identical tracks, equal length. One goes slightly downhill and one has hills and valleys. So technically the distance traveled is longer. Which ball reaches the finish line first?
The one with the hills and the valleys.
Yeah, because of the momentum and propulsion gained from the downhill and the
down,
uphill.
yeah.
And that is life. But when you have parents that were never taught themselves how to go into emotional pain and come out of it to better oneself, then we just try to stay on the surface and we ignore all that pain that's in there. And that's the rejection of self, like, let me just stay on the top of the wave, and, all the anxiety and all the work. Well, I just gotta stay on top. Like, I'm not supposed to be down there. Like, it's crazy making, because that's not reality. That's not life. But my parents didn't know what life was. So how could they teach me? And so that was my opportunity to learn. I was the black sheep. Like, I got rejected. I don't talk to my dad and my stepmom and my brother are still alive. My mom and my stepfather aren't. But I'm not talking to them, and I'm the black sheep. I was kicked out because I would say the uncomfortable truths. My intuition is spot on. I'm very direct. I'm very perceptive, and I will say the uncomfortable truths. And so that's what's necessary, and that's what we need. We need women to be healthy in their femininity for self-reflection, for shadow work, for building more self-confidence, for a stronger connection to self. But so many women are in their masculine, so they're not doing the emotional work, and that's one reason we have so much mental illness.
Well, that's the end thing. That's the end thing now.
Yeah, women are doing their job. And you ask them, what's your job? Well, I'm beautiful. Women don't know their job because we don't value femininity. What is femininity? Well, we create human life, and femininity fuels masculinity. But we've rejected all that in Western world. So we're 20 years from population collapse, and men are, have mostly left the dating scene, and women are wondering why.
I'm single.
Right. Like,
I talk about that all the time. I'm like, now at 50, I have 5 kids. It's like, I don't need the headache. Just by today's standards, it's like, I don't need the headache.
Right. Because this is the thing. I mean, if you could find a woman who's healthy in her femininity, like when you are ready for your next relationship, it'll show up in your life because your soul has a plan for you. Like me too. Like these men I attracted into my life, I've never been on a date. So what happened was, so back to the men, right? Okay. So, so in 2019, my youngest daughter blamed me for her eating disorder. My brain told me you'd be better off as a dead mother than a live one. So I took all the medication that I had, and I went upstairs and I fell asleep instantly, not because of the medication, just because I just let go. I was fucking done. I was trying to be excellent at suicide, but obviously I suck. So, but then the next morning, my older daughter, who was 18 at the time, came to get me to go see my younger daughter, who was 16 at the time, and my son was 20 at the time. So luckily, I lived but that was my bottom. That was my rock bottom. That was that valley of darkness. Like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. And when I came home, I told my older daughter, because my healing gifts came out in the psych ward. So there was a 18-year-old girl there that I connected with who also had an eating disorder, who had lost her hunger cues. Like when someone has anorexia for a long time, the body just stops telling the person they're hungry. And like for 3 years, she was 18. Her mom passed away when she was 11. And so her mom's soul came through to me, and I gave her a message from her mom, including her childhood nickname, which only, no one would know. And she got so happy and she cried and we hugged. And then that night we were sleeping in the same room. Her mom's soul came to me and asked me to help her interact with her daughter. I said, okay, as long as the intention comes from love, you'll be interacting positively. So I helped her mom's soul interact with her daughter's soul. She woke up the next morning with hunger cues and ate a full breakfast. I'm like, oh,
Wow.
I guess I'm a healer. Incredible, right? I guess I'm a healer. Okay, I got a purpose now. I'm staying, and now I'm Kerry 2.0. I went deep into my shadow, pulled out as many healing gifts as I could get. Like, F this, like, we're getting out of here. But I had to get myself out, right? I got myself in, had to get myself out. So these men are our opposites, are our best mirror. Like, we don't know what tall is unless we know what short is. We don't know what beautiful is unless we know what ugly is. And that's why, as souls having a human experience, physicists have proven that we all have energy bodies, and all of our energy bodies, our souls, are communicating through the heart space, which shamans has always been saying. Okay, so and I met these guys at yoga. So the reason we attract people into our life is to show us our wounds, which is the emotional work we're here to do, is to change our wound into wisdom being enlightenment, right? So the more wounds we turn to wisdom, and then we can go into like a darker valley and then a higher hill. Like, you don't start climbing mountains at Mount Everest, which I equate with enlightenment. You start climbing mountains on the little hill at 2 years old. You go up and you go down, and then you go up a little higher.
Yep.
And then eventually you get to the Mount Everest, which, let me have a little water, sorry.
Go ahead.
But I had so many wounds, and it took a lot for me to accept that I saw how messed up these guys were, right? Like, I've seen them yoga. Like, here's an example, the first guy. So he was close with one yoga instructor who would, casually flaunt her side job. Sorry. As a dominatrix.
Oh. Okay.
I found a lot of sexual promiscuity at yoga, but you have women leading. Women leading is women have too much testosterone, and testosterone is sexual promiscuity, which we have a problem with women right now, right? But it's all the masculine women. Okay, so anyway, so we're at class and we're flirting before class, her class. And she sees that she doesn't like it. And she stomps dominatrix style around his mat. And he goes down on the mat, lays down like he's protecting himself from an invisible web. I'm like, I ain't that fucked up. Like, there's no way I'm that fucked up.
It's like, what?
There's no way. Like, I'm going to heal that motherfucker. Like, cause I'm better than that. That was my ego, my arrogance, my attitude. And then I really had to process that, and I really had to accept, but it took me a few years. Like, this was not easy, and a lot of women do this because we see that, oh, we're just going to heal him and then he's going to treat us right. No, that's not how it works. Okay. That's not how it fucking works. So I had to accept that because I had such a strong connection with Tim, like, his soul literally lit up for me in the parking lot, and like at night, and my soul lit up, and we're like huge, massive connection. So our wounds are equal. My wounds are just as pervasive as his. So when we attract people into our lives for a romantic connection, our wounds are just as pervasive as their wounds. So if you're only attracting in masculine women, as an example, then you're a feminine man and you got work to do. If you want to attract in healthy feminine women, then you got to be a healthy masculine man, just like a woman. A woman's got to be a healthy feminine woman to attract in a healthy masculine man. And so many women right now, they don't understand that the energy starts with the woman. So if the woman puts out side chick energy, then the man decides yes or no side chick. You put out girlfriend energy, yes or no girlfriend. You put out wife energy, yes or no wife. So I put out wife energy. So, I'll talk to your soul at home to see if you get a date with me. And none of them did, but, I wasn't ready either, so, but because we don't value ourselves and women are throwing around our body, easy women create lazy men, and women aren't owning our part. But I had to own my part of these relationships with these men, and all these men had multiple women. Well, the one wound that I had that I needed men with multiple women to show me is I had a wound that I'm replaceable. No one is replaceable. But why would a woman choose to be with a man with multiple women? That's a wounded woman because she doesn't value herself. He's not going to be there every night to provide and protect for her. He's going to, potentially get other women pregnant and give them their resources. That's a desperate woman who's going to be, a side chick or, one night stand and potentially get pregnant and then have to raise a child on their own. That's not a woman who values herself. But we've taught women, the ideology is, oh, we should be sexually promiscuous, but no, that destroys women. and we have the scientific data to back it up. And the men leading women to their own destruction are wounded as well, because if you're a healthy man, why would you lead a woman to do something unhealthy, like have casual sex?
Yeah.
So, I'm over here. I call myself Red Pill Shaman. The second and third, I call them my heroes, are Justin Waller and Andrew Tate. And I've done that was 3 years ago, and I've had to work on myself profoundly to be able to say, this is the wisdom that I learned from those relationships. It only lasted, a couple months, but those are, profound men. And I had things I needed to see inside myself. And so they mirrored back to me so many things that I'm so grateful for. And then there were 2 Fire Academy instructors, and that led me back to my guy from my childhood, that we were in high school and together, potentially elementary school. And, I rejected him as ASB president, but how much did I value myself? When I was 16, my first boyfriend, who I gave my virginity to, was a drug dealer.
No.
He was 18.
Bad boys.
Do you see the difference? I mean, but I'm not saying like Jared had his problems. Like if we had come together, it could have been dangerous. Like there's so much energy between us. And like when men have emotional wounds, and that's where it comes out of their arms. Like we store our pain where our value is, and men have their value in their shoulders and their arms. Like women have their value in their hips. That's why so many women see all these somatic hip exercises on Instagram to process their emotional pain, because when you get move your hips, those emotions, that helps a woman move her emotions. So men move their emotions by using their arms and their shoulders. But so through those relationships, I saw myself, and that they were instrumental in me, seeing what my wounds are, seeing my unbalanced behavior patterns, so I could change myself and have improvement opportunities.
So feminists can't stand you, huh?
Well, I mean, I'll prove them wrong. Like, I'm a smart, articulate, like, highly intuitive woman. Like they aren't going to like what I have to say, but I speak truth, and I used to be a liberal feminist. I used to be a feminist. I used to be liberal. I have a, master's degree, all that, I was that girl. I was this in November was the first time I ever voted Republican.
Really?
Yeah, my youngest daughter is probably one of the reasons she's not talking to me, because she doesn't talk to people who voted for Trump.
Oh, really?
And her name is Israeli, and she's standing up for Palestine and Iran. Wow. And her cousin was at the music festival in Israel, and a bunch of her friends were killed right in front of her. I'm like, what? Okay. Then I had yesterday, I'm like, maybe I'm grateful I'm not talking to her right now. Like, I don't want to deal with that bullshit. Like, and her dad's like an expert on history. Like if I were to go to anybody from Middle Eastern history, I'd go to him. He's really smart.
See what gets lost in all of that is people forget that these are the governments who are fighting. Mm-hmm. The civilians get lost in this, because I interviewed a guy last week who's an Iranian immigrant, and he was talking about growing up in life before the group that's in charge now. Mm-hmm. And he's like, it wasn't completely free, like North America free. Yeah. He's like, but it was freer. Like, yeah. and he said that he prays for a time where it gets back to that for the Iranian people. And I think that's what people like if I was to say, stop the killing in Palestine. I'm not talking about Hamas. I'm talking about that family just trying to live their lives, and all of a sudden the house explodes. On the Israeli side too. It's like we just want people to just stop dying. So it's like, just let the war end. Like when Trump gave that interview, when they asked him if he stands with Ukraine, he's like, I just want the killing to stop. Yeah. And they were like trying to vilify him for that. It's like, what's wrong with saying you want the killing on both sides to stop? But we could have a whole separate podcast.
Oh, how much money people make off being the victim? Oh God. The victim is $1 billion industry.
Yeah, I've done multiple episodes on that, actually. I think I did a solo one too in 2020 when all that nonsense with George Floyd was going on. And I finally, because people were inboxing me like, you need to speak out against this. Like, hey, I don't need to do anything. I said, I'm sitting here and I'm watching everything unfold. And then when I get more information, I'll respond. Like, I don't do knee-jerk responses and say what everybody else is saying. And like, I don't do any of that. It's like to your point, I sit back and I wait for the truth. And sometimes you're not going to get the truth from either side of the mainstream media. You got to find those independent journalists that will actually bring you the entire story and not cherry-picked clips.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
For
All right,
sure.
so let's circle back now to where you contemplated exiting the world. Right?
Mm.
So let's lead up to the days, moments, hours, minutes ahead of the attempt. Like what was your headspace and what got you there?
Well, I mean, it's my whole life, but I kind of felt like my last child had now rejected me. Even though my son was at my house, we had a poor relationship. My older daughter was at her dad's house. I didn't see her very often, and now it's like, well, the last one's gone too, like F it. And I wasn't a healthy woman. I didn't understand healing. I didn't understand why I had all the problems that I had. I didn't have very many friends. He's sure successful at my career, but I had the job to make money. And so I would say that's kind of where I was at. And then my daughter was at a residential facility, and they taught her that eating disorders are a maternal wound. And during the therapy session, I'm like, look, I'm messed up, sure, but the whole family is messed up. I don't live in a vacuum. This is not just my fault. And I got pushed back, and I wasn't supported. And so this is what happened is that a healing process. If someone gives us a compliment, we decide whether to internalize it or not. Okay. So we can either glow up or reject it and glow down. But that's what we're either celebrating ourselves or rejecting ourselves. So with negativity too, when my brain told me your kids are better off with a dead mother than a live one, I chose to internalize that. I could choose not to internalize that. But the only way it hurts me is if I choose to internalize, like a compliment. It could help me if I choose to internalize it. It could not help me if I choose not to. So that was all a matter of choice. And I think that people are so caught up in being the victim that someone else has control over them when they don't. Like, our souls are the energy body, planning our whole lives based on the laws of physics, based on those hills or valleys, because the more momentum we can gain by that downhill is the higher mountain we can climb on the uphill. It's all by design, and my book shows all of that. Like, it's always like one great thing, that drop her back down, one great thing, then drop her back down. But that's like the reality check. Like, after my first enlightenment experience last March, the fire captain told me I'm married. I'm like, fuck, drop down. Like, okay, because I met him 3 weeks after I got laid off in November 2023. I thought, he's like oversees the cadet program for wildland. I can heal the fire. Like, this is like meant to be, not meant to be. But I thought that was the end all be all. But yeah, so
I see.
yeah.
So how did you get into the like wanting to study the East Asian? I forgot what you called it.
Okay, I mean, so East Asian Religious Studies. I mean,
Yeah.
I was originally going to do speech therapy. And when I transferred to UCSB as a junior, I had some more like general ed classes to take. And so because I was new at UCSB, I was the last one to sign up. And so one of the courses that met a requirement was the history of Zen Buddhism. So I'm like, okay, let's try this. So, and I loved it. Like, the professor is he's French guy, and he learned Japanese like under his like covers with a flashlight because his dad wouldn't let him. He asked all kinds of questions, compared everything to an erect penis, but he exposed Buddhism. He's like, yeah, exposed how they're celibate until it comes to the young boys.
Oh,
and so that's, and then the reason I liked it because of him, but he gave a very critical analysis. He used like economics and history and politics and culture and society and put that all together to understand religion. And that fascinated me because it was so analytical, and I'm super analytical. And high school was boring for me because just like memorize and regurgitate. I'm like, whatever. So I loved it. Then I love languages. And so I started studying Chinese that summer. I took a intensive 1-year Chinese course in 12 weeks at UCLA. And then I went back and did second year of Chinese. And then the following June, I went to China and studied abroad for 6 months. I mean, I just opened me. I just loved it. I was on fire. Yeah.
What was it like living there?
In China? Well,
Yes.
So we went to Hong Kong first. You know, Hong Kong, there's a McDonald's on every corner, right? I had my birthday there. Like my birthday was last week, June 25th, and I went to one of the one of the islands there, and you know, it was this great time. And then we flew into Tianjin from there, and in 1992. So if you can imagine the Tiananmen Square kind of pictures, everybody's in those blue suits, and everybody's malnourished and on bicycles.
Wow.
And I was like on the window going, because I just came from Hong Kong, right? Oh yeah, it was crazy. And well, this is one way that my ability to be alone served me is I traveled a lot on my own. But because I'm on my own, then I had to speak Chinese all day long. So my Chinese got really good. So this is something I learned is like, okay, you know, the question that I ask myself, if I'm not grateful for everything the universe has provided, why should the universe provide anything more? I could say all day long, well, I did well in spite of my childhood and I'm great. And I, but that doesn't heal any of my relationships, right? And doesn't show how we're here. You know, our souls plan our lives based on our wounds. But if I say I'm here because of, I was able to be alone in China because I spent so much time alone in my childhood. So now I'm be grateful for that because my Chinese is so good. Do you see how I switched that around? Instead of like rejecting myself and my family, I celebrate that and I'm grateful for the things I was able to do because of it. Like now, you know, all of this challenge happened in my life and migraines and weight gain and failed relationships and all this stuff. But now I have an opportunity to make a film about my book. And I'm working on a film adaptation. I'm working on getting traditionally published. You know, and it's a global company big enough to handle Andrew Tate, which is, you know, that's saying something. And so, you know, I could be upset that my life has been really hard, or I could say, wow, as mama bear, I experience society and my kids will have a healthier society than I had. I will leave a better place than I came. And that's my book and that's my journey. And so that is, you know, just being mentally healthy is all about perspective. Now, if you're born and, you know, I don't know, schizophrenic, you know, I'm not sure about, you know, I'm not a mental health expert, but most people, you know, if you're recovering from a traumatic childhood, it's all about perspective. You have to learn to love yourself properly and put yourself first. And not in a selfish way, but fill up your cup of love so that when you pour from that cup of love on other people, healthy comes out and not anger and depression and sadness and guilt and shame, like so often does when people are in their victim mindset. Well, I'm a victim and everybody's just hurting me. No, girlfriend or boyfriend, like your soul planned this life for you. How are you a victim when your soul plans every moment? No. So, Thanks. You know, what I'm coming out with. Yeah.
See, so you mentioned purpose earlier, and I use that word so many times when I guest on other people's podcasts, because all of those things that you just mentioned, that's how you get out of those things is with purpose. Like when you had that moment earlier, you're like, oh, I can heal people. This is what I'm meant to do.
Yeah,
right? Your soul lit up because now you're in purpose. Like purpose is powerful. Right? It's not just about having a goal, because goals can come and go.
Yeah.
Goals can come and go. When you have a purpose, now you have a reason to look at life differently. Right? Yeah. If you just stay in the hamster wheel of depression, you're not going to heal from anything. You know, like you can take all the pills you want to, but at some point you have to be like, I don't want this anymore. It's like you have to make the decision to turn on your switch. I used an example yesterday when I was guesting. I said, you can have the best looking house in the world, but if it's dark outside and the lights are off, you can't see anything.
Right.
And that's what it's like being in that dark place.
That was me.
Right. I was just gonna say you were there. Like, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because just 2 years ago I was there. Yeah. You know, it's like I felt that. And you go about your day and there's opportunities just staring at you. It's whistling to you. It's calling you over. But because you're stuck in that dark place, you can't recognize it. You can't see them. And it wasn't until I flipped my switch back on, and then all of a sudden everything just started falling into place. And I'm getting ready to launch a speaker coaching business here in maybe 6 to 8 weeks. But from hitting like literal rock bottom, same thing. It's like I only questioned for a split second, like, and I think it's just because I was wasted, right? But I was like, you know what, maybe this world's better off without me. You know,
Yeah.
and to get to that place, it's tough. But
Yeah.
really, all it took was me getting back into coaching. I started that, the soul got relit, and I pulled myself right out of that dark space. And so, to your point, like, I'm no medical expert, I'm no therapist, I'm no counselor. I share things that I've done, like
Yeah. Tried and
things
true.
that I went through.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
not hyperbole. It's like maybe it won't work for everyone, but I just shared this is how I got out of it, and maybe people
Yeah.
can get a golden nugget out of that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, so with the first guy, it was 2.5 years I was interacting with him at yoga. And that's when I really saw kind of the patterns of how I was moving through my pain, how I was transitioning, going into my emotional wounds, and then coming out with more self-belief. And so 2 of the processes I came up with, one is called appreciate, learn, forgive. And that's where you appreciate your challenges in life. And you got to start with gratitude, because gratitude opens your heart. When you're in fight or flight, that's not healing time. Okay. Healing time is surrender time. It's opening time. It's time to see inside yourself, acknowledge what's there, the wound that's there, then ask yourself, what's the wisdom? Why was that necessary? What can I learn? How can I do better next time? And then forgiveness naturally follows. That's where I get appreciate, learn as a self-reflection. And then the love hierarchy. So what I noticed was that when I act from a wound, I put everyone else before me, the people pleasing, the coddling, the appeasing that comes out. And I was putting everybody first. So I was putting community before me. So by the time I worked myself back to community, I didn't have anything left. So my cup of love was, crap. So when I worked from wisdom and inverted that, like, oh, okay, self-love has to come first, not in a selfish way, but in a way that you fill your cup of love. So when you pour into other people, it comes from health and not lack and fear and insecurity. And then partner, child, family, and then community. And if people could get that right, I was even talking to a Jungian psychologist who was trying to convince me that change happens from the outside in. I'm like, how are you a Jungian psychologist when when you don't understand that change is an inside job? Like, I'm like, and I talk about the love hierarchy. She's like, that's selfish. I'm like, you have so many wounds and you can't even see yourself. But here's the problem with therapy that I've run into so many times is, why are people attracted to their careers? Well, before they're healed, you had a lot of trauma. Okay, well, I need help. So then the help signal's going out. So then they're attracted to a career that helps, because they don't understand the universe is a mirror, that they're the person that needs help. They, try to heal some and then help others, but because they're not healed, then they project their crap, and it's all women. There's the women saying, oh, men need to talk about their emotions. No, well, you don't understand men. Women talk, men act. Men don't need to sit around and talk about, oh, I had this feeling the other day. Are you get the fuck out of here. Like, you don't understand men, and we're not the same. Like, anyway, I could go on that topic forever, but
no, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. Like, I'll tell people, like, I work in fitness. I work with a lot of women, and even this podcast, I think the split is 68-32 women to men, right? So I speak on women's stuff a lot. And even in the restaurant industry, 80% of the staff is women. So I've learned a lot over the years from just paying attention. But I, like, when there's trouble in relationships, I always tell women, don't run to another woman, run to a man. Learn how to speak that man's language, right? For a quick example, one of the women, like, she was complaining about her husband. She's like, there were dishes in the sink and he was playing a video game. I came home from going out. He's still playing a video game. The dishes are in the sink. She's like, and I just went off on him. I said, okay, so you went off on him. Did he end up doing the dishes? She said, no. I said, exactly, because you went off on him. I said, if you could have just simply said, oh, before you go to bed, do you mind taking care of the dishes? I bet you he would have did it.
Yeah.
I was like, but going off on, I was like, men don't respond to that. And on the flip side, you have to speak to a lot of women a certain way.
Yeah.
And once people understand that that's a thing, like, it's like we're wired differently for a reason. So it's like if you're gonna come at a man combatively, to your point about the testosterone, that's gonna just piss the man off, and then he's not gonna do it out of spite.
Yeah.
So I see it time and time again. So like I told her, I said, look, I was like, tomorrow, say this sentence to him.
Mm.
Right? I said, just say, it would really help me if you could do, and then insert chore.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Instead of playing video games all day, you could have vacuumed. Right?
Yeah.
That they're not going to respond to that. But if say, it would really be of great help to me if you vacuumed while I'm shopping. And I bet you he will make sure that that's done, because men want to feel needed. Whether women like it or not, it's a thing. It's like, we want to be useful to you. So if you make us feel like we're useless, that's not gonna inspire us to want to help you.
Right. You know, it's like we're teaching women that they're not fulfilled at home and to be a man and have a career. And then women are coming home and complaining that men are acting like women. Like, what are we doing? Like, we're just like, we've just lost our shit, you know, but this is, we're figuring ourselves out because, so I spent a lot of time like, why are we here? How did this, like, I've been engineering left brain. How did this happen? I need to understand. Give me the basics here. So, in 2012, that was the end of a time cycle. Like the movie came out, there was a lot of talk about the end of the time cycle, right? The Mayan calendar. So what is this time cycle? So now we're in the time of self-healing. So before we would go to other people to help us heal, but now the time is for self-healing. That's why after 2012, you had the significant increase in medicine journeys, self-help books, psychology, therapists, all this awareness and all this kind of discussion around mental health, because now is the time to heal. And now that we have the laws of physics explaining spirituality, that this is real, that we all have energy, that we're souls having a human experience, and we just don't understand ourselves. I mean, that's the problem. We're all toddlers in the sandbox throwing sand at each other because we don't understand our emotions and how they work. We don't understand the universe is a mirror. There's a reason we have mirror neurons. That's how we learn. And we, mirror our parents, mirror other people, and then the universe is mirrored back to us to show us ourselves so we can improve. And there's just so much about ourselves that we don't understand. But when people are really busy being right, they don't take time to self-reflect and to improve. And a lot of people right now are busy being right. Like the whole victim mindset is so simplistic. Like all that can ever exist is a victim and an oppressor. That's all there is. I mean, if that's not trauma, if that is not, speaking from a wound, I don't know what is. That life is so simplistic like that.
Well, the problem is people are so quick to believe everything.
Yeah, because it's easy. Oh, well, they're responsible. Now I can go on. Well,
there it is. There it is. I say that all the time.
I'm with Palestine. I'm good. I'm in the right place. I'm appropriate. I'm good. Like, stop.
Yeah, people are afraid to go against the grain. Like, I belong with New England Donor Services. Like, I donated a kidney to my sister in 2011.
Oh, wow.
And I compete on Team New England for the transplant games. And so the director reached out to me and said that I would be a perfect candidate to be a DEI liaison. And I was like, respectfully, I decline. I was like, I don't do any type of groupthink whatsoever. Yeah. I don't call myself a Democrat. I don't call myself a Republican. I don't even call myself an independent, because they're a group too. So anything that does any type of widespread groupthink, I sheer away. Like, I have my opinions on things, but there are things that I don't agree with 100%. Even in a relationship, like, you can be married or with someone that you don't fully agree with everything that they stand for. And that's okay. That's normal. It's like, we're all different, so we don't have to agree 100% of the time. If you did, what are you going to talk about?
Well, I think it's the desire to be like everybody else, the desire for life to be that slightly downhill thing. Carl Jung sums it up in a quote. I love me some Carl Jung. He said that one does not become enlightened by imagining beings of light, like the slightly downhill track, or, oh, that's just that guy's problem, but by making the darkness conscious. And that is the work, the darkness conscious, the parts of myself I don't believe it, like all my shamanic gifts, those all came out in the past 6 years because that was the time for it. That was when my soul had a plan for it. And that was the time for me to learn how to unearth more parts of myself and make them conscious, to fill up this gap that I had created from having trauma with my parents, trauma with the masculine soul, the guy that is the like my soulmate from I'm the feminine soul. So I mean, that's an interesting story. Like, so I thought my book was done last summer. I thought The Fire Captain was the last guy. So I published my first edition at the end of October. But I had a picture of my guy from my childhood to remind me that I attract in these amazing men. Like, oh, I really, me, like, but I was busy being the problem, so not me, right? So I had my high school boyfriend for a couple months was, dealing drugs, because that's how much I did not value myself. So, oh shoot, now I'm getting back. It's my third interview, so I'm getting a little bit tired. Okay. Oh yeah. So, so anyway, a week later in early November, a couple days before the election, my intuition's like, you got to reach out. I call him Jared in the book. And I look him up and I see, I didn't know the name of the company, but now he's like head of global security at this major company that's international. It deals with the internet. And then he was FBI assistant special agent in charge, but I didn't know any of that. Like, I barely remembered his first name. I saw him in the yearbook. I'm like, oh, that's the guy that would stare at me all the time. And he's ASB president. Okay. Like, and it was like building myself up. So I reach out and he didn't respond, but his soul opened to me immediately. And in terms of like avoidant, like I attract in avoidant men with a likely sex addiction. That's the counterbalance to me. He was about 10 times more avoidant than the fire captain.
Wow.
Yeah. And so then I started interacting with his soul and all of that. And so, but I had so many lessons to learn. I had to learn that I still had a fear of being raped that I need to get out of me. I didn't understand. I still didn't value my ability to create human life as much as I should as a healthy feminine woman. I didn't value how much femininity fuels and gives life and purpose to masculinity. Like, well, why isn't he being a masculine man when she's all here over all masculine? Okay, girlfriend, you don't understand like how this whole thing friggin' works. So, so I had so much left to learn, and something that I learned in the fall, which was, it's beautiful. I wanted to understand, why I have such a strong connection, like why it's so important that he's the masculine to my feminine. Like, what am I trying to understand in myself and bring to light for the collective? So I asked, I'm like, so how are souls created? It's like, Kerry, we're not talking about that now. I'm like, okay, well, how are masculine and feminine souls created? Because we were all souls. And then we evolved, and then it got to the point where we want to see ourselves and experience ourselves. But the only way to see yourselves is with a mirror, right? So the best mirror is, tall to short. You need the opposite as the best mirror. So it taught me that. I'm like, okay, so how are souls created? Like the feminine and the masculine soul. And I was told that the intent to create the masculine soul creates the feminine soul. And the feminine soul tears out half of her heart chakra to create the masculine soul. That's why the feminine soul is source energy. It's creation energy, like the black hole. And men are once removed. Hence, they're less emotional. Healthy men are less emotional than a healthy woman because the woman's the emotional center. And as a pair, he protects and she connects to the soul. They do the emotional work together. So here I am, a mom standing up to red pill over monogamy, but this is why. Because we didn't yet understand or kind of accept as a collective in our, general consciousness that the feminine soul creates the masculine soul. We have, Christianity, a lot of other religions showing that, well, man's the prize and the woman's the helper. Well, hang on a second. If she created him, how is she the helpmate? She's equal. Mm-hmm. But we don't have this wisdom and we don't have this knowledge. So I've downloaded it and brought it to light. But, I'm standing up to red pill. I'm standing up to fresh and fit. The day they got demonetized, I downloaded monogamy is the path to enlightenment. And then my energy is more influential and powerful than their polygamy, hedonistic energy, because mine comes from love and like vibrating at higher frequencies, which is more transformative energy, which laws of physics explain why I downloaded Monogamy is the Path to Enlightenment on the same day Myron Gaines was complaining on YouTube that Fresh and Fit had been demonetized. So Yeah, I
Remember
have
that.
to be ready before I come out and say some shit like that. Like, oh, that I'm throwing down with Myron Gaines, but I'll throw down, no problem. Like, let's go. I could have it, I would, no problem with Myron Gaines. But this is my soul's purpose, like to be able to come out and say that I'm addressing sexual assault with Andrew Tate. He triggers the wound and my book heals it. That I'm a mother standing up to red pill because monogamy is a path to enlightenment, not polygamy. That's saying
Absolutely.
that, I had to be ready. So it's taken 10 years, since my mom passed away my 45th birthday, and my intuition told me it was time to heal because my 55th birthday was last week. But now, film adaptation and bringing all this healing to light, like it's time for us to really all accept that we're souls having a human existence, that there's a masculine soul and there's a feminine soul, and there's a way of things. 1 + 1 will always equal 2. 1 + 1 will never equal 3. Yep. So this whole trans kids, all the crazy, that's not Armageddon. I don't know what is. People can say they want women to do this and that, but women are women. And we want men to do this and that, but men are men. And we need to live in that reality. And the quicker we do, the quicker we can accept that men and women are here to complement each other and support each other and bring out the best in each other. We're not here to be the same. Obviously, look at our bodies. We're the exact opposite. One has an E, one has an Audi. I don't know what else to say. How much more obvious you get?
Well, I say that all the time too. I actually dated someone a few years ago that was one of those strong, independent ones. And remember, she's walking in the house. She got her hands all full, and she's reaching to open the door. And I was like, "Oh, I can do it myself." Like, but you don't have to.
But that's
it's like I don't understand. It's like you don't, just because you can doesn't mean you have to. Like there are things that I can cook. No, I'm not saying all women have to cook, but like I can cook. I've been taking care of myself for almost 8 years now, and I was a single parent for well, I still am a single parent, but like when they were younger, I was like I was a single parent for a while. I can do all of that stuff, but what I can't do is replace the feminine energy.
Right.
Like that's where I'm struggling with my kids now. Like, my daughter's having a tough time, and like she wants me to be more compassionate. It's like I was raised by a Marine with PTSD. You know what I mean? So it's like
be a woman.
It's like emotions didn't really run strong. So when she comes to me, I tell her what she needs to hear, not what she wants to hear. It's like, no, this is why you're in this. And she just wants me to just listen. Like, that's not how I'm built.
So
here's not how I'm built.
I mean, here's the hard thing is that one, women need men to listen to them and not tell them what to do. And here's why. Now, I mean, I'm not saying that's what you were doing. Like, I don't, I'm not saying that, but why?
It was.
Okay. But this is why. So, and I experience this all the time, but I talk to souls. So, so I'm just home talking to souls, but that's all my time figuring myself out. I see a problem back here, and men see the problem and they go straight to their frontal cortex, solve the problem, and they're done. So women see the problem, have to make all the connections because we connect and men disconnect, and then they see clearly and then they're done. And this takes 10 to 20 times as long. Like if you call up your guy friend, hey, you want to have dinner? Yeah, I'll see you at 6. Okay, bye. Done. You're done. I call up my girlfriend, hey, you want to have dinner? Yeah, but I've kind of been on a diet and my hair and my kids and yada, yada, my clothes, yada, yada, yada. 20 minutes later, okay, I'll see you at 6. And then we're done. That is normal and healthy for both sexes, complete opposites. So what women really need, and they have to learn and teach men that, is that let me get it out, but they have to get out in a way that they don't attack the man. Okay, so there's a lot both sexes need to learn. Like I had to learn to communicate my emotions without attacking.
I'm gonna have to back you up.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to back you up because I lost connection on my end.
Okay.
I forgot to plug in the hard wire for the internet, so I probably didn't catch like the last 20 seconds of what you said.
Okay, so exactly where was I? That's okay. Oh, right. So men, women go from here, have to make all the connections and go to here. They need 10 to 20 times as long to process their emotions, but they need to make all those connections so they can see clearly for themselves. The point isn't for you to see clearly when you're listening to her. The point is for her to see clearly when you're listening to her. Does that make sense? That the difference?
That does make sense, yes.
And so women need their emotions corralled. Like have your emotions here. Here's your safe space for your emotions. And then so she can see herself. There's like the mirror holding up, and then she can go about her way. So, sure, women need men to solve some problems, but a lot of times women just need to get it out. They just need to get it out. And that's, and because we're teaching women to be men and men to be women and all these single parents, like we have so much work to do to bring back what is, and not even back, I mean, because I can't say bring it back because it never fully existed in the way that it needs to exist. Like women need to be able to go out in society and do things and not, be sexually assaulted and not, and feel safe. But women also need to go out in society and be healthy, feminine women, because that brings out the healthy masculinity. Like when that girl denied you from opening the door, she denied her ability to say thank you, your ability to receive the thank you, to feel admired, she just denied herself her ability to meet so many needs between men and women because she was taught you don't need a man. You are, do it yourself. That's how you be, a great woman is not needing a man. Well, no. Women need men in certain ways and men need women in other ways. We need each other. But as long as we deny that need, we're denying our fundamental authentic selves. And then we're rejected ourselves and we're back at the same spot. So
yeah, if all men vanish, society dies. If all women vanish, society dies.
Yeah.
So that in itself tells you. All right, so we're creeping up on a couple minutes left. Oh, yeah. Like where can people find your book? How can people connect with you? And then give us a final word.
Yeah, so my book's on Amazon. It's also in like Barnes and Noble online. And I have my website is www.kerryblaser.com. Kerry Blaser is also on Instagram. I'm also Red Pill Shaman on Instagram. And I have a YouTube channel where you can find, like right now I have a meditation and drumming video. I have a bunch of other videos, but I haven't gotten to really building that up yet. But there's some helpful things there, and that's where you can find me. And that was it. Yeah.
Yep. And a final word.
Oh, final word. So the wisdom that helps me the most is the 2-ball experiment. Embrace those hills and valleys. The universe is a mirror, and triggers are a healing friend and not our healing foe. When that pain's at the surface, perfect time to self-reflect and forgive, especially yourself.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to share. I learned a lot. Like that last part in the end too is huge, because like that's gotten me in trouble in a lot of relationships, because it's like I became a leader when I was 15 years old. I was managing a small diner. Yeah. And then I was a general manager at 19. My entire life has been solving problems. Yeah. So when people come to me and want to talk, it's like, oh, this person is in pain. I want to help them get out of pain as quickly as possible. So like that's the thought process. It's not just like, oh, I'm a man and I just want to fix it for you. It's like, you're in pain. Let's get you out of pain. But the way you just put that, like I never thought of it that way. She needs to get it out so she can feel better about the situation and process it. So that was huge. And so thank you for that.
You're welcome. Yeah. But I had to get healthy in my femininity to figure that out, because I wouldn't have known that 10 years ago.
Absolutely. All right. So if you want to, I'm putting together panels. So like I bring back past guests. We pick one topic and we round table that one topic. And I shouldn't say we pick the topic. I pick the topic, but I wait till I get who's going to be on the panel first, because I've interviewed you all, so I know what you all are experts in, and then I'll pick something that everyone can talk about. And I try to get 6 other guests plus me, and then we'll that way we'll have 7 different points of view from the same topic. Because like I like people to like, I know there's 4 main personality types, so not everybody receives information the same way. So like so to hear from 7 different experts about one topic, like those panels usually go over very, very well. So if you're interested, I'll keep you in the loop when I do the next 2 or 3.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, so sign me up.
All right, awesome. Well, once again, thank you, and I will be in touch.
All right, thank you. Have a great day.
Right, bye.
You've been listening to Shut Up and Grind. We hope you've gotten some useful and practical information from this show. Robert has over 20 years experience pouring his knowledge and expertise at many events in the service and fitness industry, as well as secondary schools and universities. He has a true passion for helping others break through the barriers that are holding them back. To book Robert B. Foster to speak or to reach out, go to robertbfoster.com. Till next time, shut up and grind.